It had been over 3 years since I last spoke a word to my ex-wife. She reached out to me last week and asked to speak with me. We had a 1-hour phone call, and that conversation brought this sad, miserable relationship to its ultimate end. This is my story. I found this forum a few weeks ago and have been reading avidly. It has made me sad reading the outpourings of so many broken hearts. I am sorry to say it has also brought some comfort knowing I am not alone in my situation. I haven't posted before because what comfort or advice can I offer when my own marriage failed so badly? But after my conversation with my ex last week, I realized there are so many similarities in all our stories. A series of check boxes, and almost all of them are checked off. That is what compelled me to share. We met in TN. I was 22, she was 27. She was in her last year of nursing school, and I was in my last year of military service. We were both working doing deliveries at a local pizza place for extra money. We hit it off and became friends, and after a very memorable party one night became much more. She pursued me in truth, but I was attracted to her and more than happy to reciprocate. When my military time ended, I took her out to a nice dinner and proposed. I was so completely in love with her by that time. Our first year of marriage was great. I got along great with her family and my family loved her. We did almost everything together. Then in year 2 things started to change. I was working full-time and going to school at night working on a degree in civil engineering. I tried to make the time we had together special, romantic, but nothing changed the fact that there was a lot less of it. I could feel her pulling away and losing interest in me. So, I dropped out of school. I made a judgment that my marriage was more important, and I told myself I could always go back later. Things didn't really improve. I had learned something about her. She is like a kid who tires of her toys quickly. She becomes bored with it and moves on to a new toy. I tried to keep her engaged and keep things interesting. Gifts, vacations, different kinds of romantic bonding. It was like bailing out a sinking ship. She offered little in the way of help or encouragement. It's exhausting to try and save a relationship when you are doing it alone. Then the cheating behavior began. This you guys all know well. She checked off the boxes, protective of her phone and laptop, more frequent absences from the home, a complete withdrawal from intimacy. Affection from her went to zero, and even hugs and kisses from me were coldly received. I've read this so many times in other posts here. It's like cheaters don't want to cheat on their AP with their spouse. I knew it was going on and I was highly motivated to catch her. We lived in an at-fault state, but she covered her tracks well. I couldn't prove it. I think she noticed I was checking out of the marriage. All my attempts at initiating affection, or heck even talking to her for that matter, stopped. After that, she tearfully confessed to an inappropriate relationship with a co-worker. She swore it was never physical. She made a lot of promises and apologies. I had never heard the term trickle truth before coming here, but I suspect I was served up a hot bowl of it, with a side of blame shifting. She wanted to work on us. She wanted counseling for us. I believed her, or at least I chose to believe her. My heart and my intellect were not on speaking terms. We went to MC for a few weeks. That seemed to make her uncomfortable because the counselor asked some very probing questions about the E. I think she suspected, as I did, there was more to it. She discontinued after 4 sessions, but we seemed to be doing better. It was almost like I had my old wife back. I was very happy and decided to put all my unproven suspicions behind me. This lasted about 6 months until the cycle began to repeat itself. Once again, she checked all the boxes like before. I confronted her about it twice. She blew it off as stress on her part or immaturity, a favorite thing for her to throw in my face over the whole relationship because of our age gap on my part. Intimacy between us stopped as she lost all interest in it and in me. And then it happened. I came home and found her at home early. She was sitting on our bed crying. I sat with her and asked her, almost begged her, to please talk to me. She told me she was pregnant. For a fleeting moment I was overjoyed. Then my brain began to engage. I suddenly remembered how long it had been since we had intimacy. I could see it in her face. I asked her how far along. 8 weeks. It had been over 4 months since we had last been intimate. I got up and left the room. She ran after me. Looking back and comparing the conversation that followed against the accounts of people's experiences on this very sub-forum, I am amazed how WS all say the same things. It was just that one time. It didn't mean anything. I only ever loved you. Of all the lies they tell, that last one stings the most. I told her I was leaving the house and would be back in 1 hour. Then I would listen to what she had to say. I was shaking, furiously angry, and in all honesty, it probably would not have ended well for either of us if I stayed. I drove to an empty parking lot and cried my heart out. I think I mean that literally, because something inside me broke during that hour. My heart died. It turned to ice, and it still is to this day. When I went home, I was cold, emotionless. I didn't need to act like a gray stone. I had become one in truth. She insisted we could get past this. She saw how happy I was when she first told me before I realized. She commented on how we had wanted to start a family. She threw the baby's innocence in my face and how she would need a father. This went on for nearly 20 minutes as I sat and stared at her in complete and emotionless silence. Finally, she looked at me and asked me to please say something. I told her she is asking for reconciliation, but nearly every word she is telling me is a lie. I told her if she wants me to even think about it, she needed to start by telling me the truth. The version of the story I was told after that is it was the same AP all along. Even from the prior year, it was always and only physical. She never loved him. She loved me. He is not interested in having any kind of relationship with her other than physical. He is pressuring her to terminate the pregnancy. She doesn't want to. She wanted a family and wanted it with me. I told her our marriage is over. It's been over for a year and a half, but I was just now finding out about it. I told her to pack whatever she needed for 3 days and to please leave the house. I told her I'd meet with her in 3 days to discuss what came next. She refused to leave. She kept trying to talk to me. Ordinarily, her tears would have broken my resolve. But I looked at her that night and felt nothing. The part of me that loves had died. I went into the guest bedroom and locked the door. The next day, I spoke to several lawyers and hired one of them. The paternity of the child was more than enough proof for an at-fault divorce. I had no desire to wait that long, and we discussed uncontested and mediation. When I got home, she actually tried to initiate with me. I was shocked and disgusted. I told her that would never happen again. We agreed on an outline for divorce. The biggest asset was our house. The majority of our debt was her student loan. I gave up my ownership interest in the home so she could sell it. She was going to keep the baby, and I wanted her to have that money. I wanted nothing but to walk away free. In the end, I kept nothing other than my Jeep, my military sea bag full of clothes and a few tools, firearms, and military mementos. Mostly things that were mine before we married. Everything in that house, everything she had touched was just tainted to me. I wanted nothing from this marriage but to bury it in the past. The divorce finalized 13 months later. I saw her twice during the mediation. We barely spoke. She was very pregnant then. I thought that would be hard to see, but I felt nothing for her. No love, no hate, nothing. She was a stranger to me. I moved to Florida and took a job as an underpaid but also underworked civil servant. I have a very simple life now. I bought and renovated a small house on the Gulf Coast. I bought a boat and go fishing almost every weekend. I have very few friendships and have dated very little. I have trust issues now. I really don't enjoy the company of other people. I find myself suspicious of the attentions of women, especially ones I'm attracted to. I'm 27 years old now. I'm very physically fit and some girls find me attractive. But the idea of an intimate relationship with someone, trusting them to that level, I don't think I can do it. Not for a long time anyway. I am the opposite of the man I used to be in almost every way. All my love now is reserved for a happy black Labrador retriever named Stormy. She goes almost everywhere with me. I'm not exactly happy. I still got upset when something triggers me to remember my ex and all that happened. I still sometimes feel a tremendous and overpowering sense of loss. I know I have lost nothing because I really had nothing, but I can't help how I feel. The beauty of my job is I mostly work alone and in the outdoors, and I can often take my dog to work with me. If I haven't found happiness in divorced life, at least I found peace. I'll take it. Last week, the past I thought I'd buried 2 years ago reached out from the grave. She called my cell. I don't know, she got my contact info. It couldn't have been too hard. I wasn't exactly hiding. We spoke for an hour. It was amicable at first, and she made it sound as though she just wanted to see how I'm doing and catch up. But the hidden purpose of the call was to feel me out about some kind reconnection. She gave birth to a healthy baby girl 2 years prior. Paternity was never in question because of the timing. The AP wasn't present for the birth and has had little interaction with his daughter. The life of a single mother is hard, and although she was getting support from the AP, apparently she had to take him to court for it. She was lonely and unhappy. I told her I was sorry to hear she was unhappy, but it was not my problem. I told her she had broken my heart and it was still broken today. I told her in as many words I did not love her, could not love anyone, and wanted nothing to do with her. I said to her that she made all the choices for all of us. For her, for me, and for her daughter. She left me with but one choice, and that was to walk away from her. I asked her not to contact me again. The final similarity between all of our stories on this sub is this. A selfish person made a selfish choice and damaged the lives of 3 people, one of whom had not even been born yet. If there was one thing I wish I could make cheaters understand before they make the selfish choice, is that they are hurting everyone around them and possibly everyone around their AP. But if they are already selfish enough to cheat, it's likely they won't care.